Right guys, welcome back. So essentially in this video I am going to start to look at how shooting may work. This is going to be quite a few videos to get it working all together, but in this video we're going to be looking at how to make the player face the camera at all times. This could be really useful on its own. I'm going to use it because I know that I'm going to need this to put shooting into the game. But if you want to use this on its own without shooting, that will also work as well. This is going to be quite a short video, so I'll just go on through. So to start with, there's a couple of things I need to do before I even start thinking about any code. The first thing is I need to take the camera and make that a child, not a child of the player anymore, because when the player starts to turn, so will the camera. It'll look crazy. Feel free to do it, but it looks awful. You can't figure out what's actually going on. And another thing is, at the minute, my player is just a circle, and you know, if you point out the obvious there, how will I know if it's turning is the big one there. So I just like to add in a random sprite. So obviously for me, I'll just go with a square like I normally do. I need to bring the order in layer up so I can actually see it. I might make it black, and then I'm just going to move it up and out of the front of the player, or the top of the player, which is essentially where it's facing. So that's that little bit done. Now when the player's turning like this, I'll be able to know that the player's turning. So that's the main one there. The rotation script, I'm just going to put in the player movement. So that's this script here. It's going to be nice and easy. We're just going to throw this just in the update function underneath all the movement. You could put this in its own function, but I'm not. It's like 3 lines of code. I'm just going to go in there. So anyway, so let's start with let's start with the first line. So essentially, we need to figure out where the mouse is. So we start with a vector3. This is us just declaring a variable that we're only going to use in this function. So it's cool to do it. Not that. So vector3 mouse screen is probably what I'm going to call this, because obviously it's the mouse for this screen, equals input dot mouse position. This is obviously a thing that already exists, so that's why we reference input. Put a semicolon at the end of there so that we've ended that line. The next line is another vector3. I cannot spell vector3 today. I'm going to call this mouse equals, and this is where we reference the camera. So camera dot main. Obviously this references the main camera. There could be instances in which you have multiple cameras in the scene. So I need the screen to world point. The screen it's looking for is the mouse screen. So that's line 2. We've got as vectors set up now. Now we have quite a big line, which is essentially just changing the transform of the player. As I say, this is a quick video. I was going to put this in with some other stuff, but I'm not. I'm just going to make a small video on its own. So transform dot rotation equals, and this is where we reference what we use in terms of angles and stuff like that. And we reference this as a quaternion. That's probably a word you've not heard before. So quaternion Euler, which is yet again how we reference angles, and this is where we start getting into a bit of maths. So we have a specific coordinate we want to do it on the z-axis for all of this. So the x and the y are 0. Obviously, we don't really want to rotate on the axis because we don't want the character flipping over, but z is fine. We're just going to get it spinning around in circles. So in here, this is where I'm start referencing some of the math functions that are built into Unity. I'll not go into too much detail on kind of what they do, but you kind of get the point. As the math function, the 8 and 2 references 2 different things. So this is where we start to bring in brackets, where we reference the mouse dot x to y to begin with, sorry, minus transform dot position dot y. So obviously referencing where the player is in relation to where the mouse is and minusing that off, so there's an offset there. Mouse dot x minus you've probably guessed this next bit, transform dot position dot x. So that's that little bit done. If you just go in between the two brackets here, what we want to do is we want to times all this by another math function. So times by mathf dot rad2 degrees minus 90. The reason for this minus 90 is if we didn't have this, it wouldn't be looking at the mouse, it'd be looking slightly off to one side. So we need to take the initial kind of position of it and then minus 90. So you'll see what I mean. So if remember, take the camera out of this or this wouldn't look right. So I'll maximize this on play so you can see how this works. But now you see that player is rotating around looking at the mouse. Just for fun, if I took this out of here, this minus 90, give it a second, you'll see what I mean. Can you see how obviously it's 90 degrees away from the mouse now? So make sure you've got that in there because it doesn't reference where our front is. But I just want you to see that so you can understand that. And just for a bit more fun, if you are a little bit daft and you do put the main camera on the player, this is what this will look like. Yeah. Can we see why we don't do that now? And it's because the camera is referencing the mouse. So unless it's directly in the middle, it's going to do this. If I go like that, it's constantly spinning because the mouse is spinning because it's attached to the camera, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's the first video. In the next video, I'm going to actually show you how to fix the camera issue. I'm going to make a camera follower so that we don't have to attach the player. But yeah, you'll see that in the next video. Cheers, I'll catch you then.